Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. The NFL regular season is officially over.
It's done.
If you can believe it. Which also means that fantasy football, unless you play DFS, is over as well. Your season-long leagues and your best ball season-long leagues are finished. They're finito. They're done.
I was gonna say it is over, but for somebody like me, daily fantasy season is just getting started.
Yeah. Seriously. How was your Christmas, my friend?
Oh, it was lit. Fantastic. Didn't have to talk to anybody.
I haven't talked to anyone but my wife for like 3 days, 4 days. I don't even remember the weekend really.
I didn't think really hard.
I forgot it was the weekend, so I kind of this has been in like an elongated Saturday Sunday.
Yeah,
it's kind of what it's been. Anyway, because the NFL season's over, we're obviously not going to talk about waiver wire. We're obviously not going to do booms and busts on Wednesday. We are going back to 2 episodes. So you're probably thinking, oh, I really wanted to listen to them talk for an hour, 3 straight days. Now you only will listen to us for 25-minute episodes. Hopefully.
Yeah, we'll try.
We'll try our best to make it a little bit more easy to listen to. So today, to kick off our off-season content, we are going to give you this week. I'm gonna call this week Recap Week because we're gonna do a big recap episode on Thursday of the entire season. We're gonna talk about try to fit in as many guys as we can, but talk about the top 12 at each position really quickly, almost in a booms and busts kind of way. But anyway, we're gonna do that on Thursday. For this episode, we are going to go over what we got right in the NFL season and what we got wrong. From all of our takes in the offseason, there's a lot that we didn't put in this. So,
I will be sure to mention some stuff.
Yeah. So we are going to do that today. Before we get into that, we're going to have quick reactions, which we'll do throughout the playoffs so that you know what's going on. And we're reacting to Sony Michel scoring 4 touchdowns in a playoff game because he only does that in the postseason, I guess.
Yep.
But we'll go through the entire playoffs, give you reactions. This is stuff that you have to watch because if you, like last year, if you watched Todd Gurley throughout the entire playoffs suck, you probably could have predicted that he was going to be less efficient this year. I rejected that reality the entire offseason. That was one of my wrong takes that I didn't put in here. But watch the postseason. Stefon Diggs broke out because of a massive catch in the postseason. Not because of it, but it just put his name on the front stage.
Put his name on the map.
Seeing guys perform in the postseason is very important. So we'll do quick reactions throughout the playoffs up until the Super Bowl, and then we'll stop. And then we'll get into rights and wrongs and all that good stuff. Before we get into the news, be sure to do the following. Check out our website at thefantasychampions.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at the FFChamps on Twitter, at the Fantasy Champions on Instagram. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/the Fantasy Champions. I'm trying really hard not to like burp or cough or something like that. Subscribe wherever you listen, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube. Click the bell on YouTube for notifications. Leave a review and share this podcast with your friends. You ready to get into the news?
Yes.
So yesterday was Black Monday. So we'll get some coach firings. And if there's one that has happened
Black Monday.
Black Monday. If there is one that has happened over the course of the last couple, well, I mean, we post this episode.
If something happens.
If something happens in the next 5 hours before we post this episode, please.
The only one we got right now is Freddie Kitchens.
There's like 2. We can recap. So the
who's the other one?
We'll talk about that later. I'll save that for you.
Okay.
There's 2 right now. There's 2 guys that were fired before the end of the season. That was Jay Gruden and Ron Rivera.
Yeah, before the season,
Yeah, before the end of the season.
Yeah.
Right? And I can't remember when Ron Rivera was fired.
He was fired in like week 15.
Okay. That was such... Why didn't you just let him finish? Anyway. So let's start with the news. Ryan Fitzpatrick implied that he hopes to play in 2020. I don't know for who because... Well, I mean, hey, it might be for the Dolphins. Ugh. Do you know they went 5-4 to end the season in their last 9 games?
Yeah, so much for
That's
tanking.
so gross. Free agent Antonio Brown worked out with the Saints on Friday. It was preceded by an epic overreaction on social media about what it would be like to have Antonio Brown and Michael Thomas on the same team.
Yep.
Not good for fantasy. That's what that would be.
No.
But what I thought was ridiculous was that when the Patriots signed him, it was a completely different reaction. It was like, they got a rapist on their team, and now the Saints want to sign him, and it's like, holy crap, put him next to Michael Thomas. Let's get it.
Yeah.
That is a common Patriots take, but I really do think that's ridiculous. Like, it doesn't matter who he signs with. You should keep the same opinion.
But that's not how it works.
Yeah, not how it works. Sean Payton said that when he asked about the prospect of signing Antonio Brown, he said not now, even though he did have a quote. He blew, blew the Saints away, unquote.
Well, what a shock. He's good at playing football. We already knew that.
We already knew that. So they're waiting for him to get cleared. At this point, he's not going to play this year. Unless the Patriots swoop in and get desperate.
Yeah.
But they have not done that yet.
If teams here's the thing though, he's probably not going to play this year. And how old is he going to be next year? 33, 34?
I know.
For a wide receiver, you're getting up there.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. David Njoku said he's not sure he'll be back if Freddie Kitchens returns next season. I don't know when that was reported or when he said that. I know that's so bad, and I've heard multiple reports from multiple people inside that organization of the players saying the same thing, not just David Njoku.
Gosh.
So, Freddie Kitchens has been fired. He was reportedly blindsided by it, and he was. I think it's Ian Rappaport that said he called him on the phone to talk to him, and he said he was distraught and upset that.
What, did he think he was going to return as head coach after this season? The Browns
from what he said is that the Browns told him that he was going to have a second year, and then they fired him after the game. Maybe the Bengals loss is.
No, I mean I think
that much.
That
You lost to the worst team in football.
Yeah. Well, no, they blew. Don't get me wrong. They went 6-10, and I think he deserved to get fired. But if you tell somebody you're not going to get fired and just because you lose one game,
I don't know that be true, but that's what Freddie Kitchens was implying. I would believe, but he's probably not going to get a job anywhere anytime soon. So he might get a coordinator job or something like that. But I don't see him coaching. Amari Cooper said he wants to re-sign with the Cowboys. We haven't heard anything on Dak. This is a transformative offseason for the Cowboys. Zeke next year could be all by his lonesome after signing his massive contract.
I know.
Oh, boy.
You think if Jason Garrett returns, because he's the yes man to Jerry Jones, is Dak going to stay?
No. Okay. They're going to fire him.
They should
have fired him already.
Well, that's the problem.
Really sure.
It's
it's making me kind of nervous. I'm not. Whatever. The Rams placed Darrell Henderson on injured reserve. The Falcons restructured quarterback Matt Ryan's contract, creating $12 million in cap space. Not sure what that's for.
Something on their team.
Something
defense,
on their team. Maybe. Rumors are floating around. We'll get to that news in a second. NFL Network's Michael Giardi reports that Julian Edelman's injured shoulder is worse than you could possibly imagine, which is he has tendonitis. So that's not good. Do you think Julian Edelman declining in the last 3 or 4 games of the season is more due to the fact that he has this nasty injury than people double covering him? Because everyone's been like, oh my God, he's been double covered. Well, he's been double covered all year, and he was good for a long stretch of time. So maybe this injury is bothering him in some way.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll see.
He's also getting up. He's 33, 34 for a wide receiver. That's
it's
extremely old
for Julian. It's so funny the Patriots.
It's almost over the Patriots.
Yeah, dude. It's so funny for the Patriots because their defense is relatively young and on the come up.
Other than the McCourties, Jamie Collins, and Hightower.
But the corners can play to the 35.
They have other Gilmore's kind of, he's in his prime, but he's back end of his prime probably.
Yeah.
Because corners only play to their mid-30s, but the other 2 corners,
they're a relatively young team,
so.
and it's just Julian and Tom Brady that are
2 best players.
Yeah, their 2 best players are their oldest. Eagles coach Doug Peterson said Miles Sanders is day to day. We'll see if he plays in round 1 wild card weekend. Boston Scott came in in his replacement. We'll talk about him a little bit later. Le'Veon Bell will remain as the 2020 Jets starter. When he was hold on a second. When asked Monday, Adam Gase was asked if Le'Veon Bell would remain the Jets starting running back in 2020. He replied, "Ask Joe Douglas, their GM, tomorrow."
Yikes.
That's how you respond for your 20
And then did you see what Le'Veon Bell responded with?
What did he say?
Oh, it was the guy from The Office rolling his eyes.
Yep.
Or something like that. Or not rolling his eyes, like zooming in, like just staring at the camera.
That just seems like something that's gonna get itself worked out this offseason.
Somebody's gonna. They're not.
Okay.
Both.
Over under 75% chance Le'Veon Bell leaves the Jets this year, in some capacity.
75%.
Yeah.
I'd have to guess over. I don't think he's coming back.
Yeah, I don't think he's going back.
And that short percent that he stays,
is
because Adam Gase is no longer the head coach.
Do the Steelers run it back with
Maybe.
Ben Roethlisberger and Le'Veon Bell?
Ugh.
Big Ben's playing next year, and it's going to be for the Steelers because Lord knows their quarterback situation is god awful.
It is bad, but Ben Roethlisberger is like 40 years old, coming off a. What injury did he get? A torn?
I think it was a.
It
was an elbow injury. He had 3 tendons and an elbow torn or something like that.
Yikes!
But anyway, appearing on Good Morning Football, Tom Pelissarello. I can never say your name, dude. He reported that Dalvin Cook is expected to play in Sunday's wild card game against the Saints. 35-year-old Alex Smith said he, without a doubt, wants to continue playing his football career.
He is making
he's.
Have you seen those videos on Twitter and YouTube and stuff of him working out? So, will it be with the Redskins
been out for
though?
A while. No.
Yeah.
They can't. They have.
But
a chance.
Isn't he under contract?
They're gonna roll with this. I don't know. Is he under contract?
I think so.
Yeah. There's rumors floating around that if the Redskins hire Ron Rivera, who's apparently the lead for the head coaching position in Washington, that Cam Newton would go with him and be the quarterback for the Washington Redskins. So if that happens, there's almost a guarantee that he wouldn't play for them. But anyway, I don't know how long he's under contract if he is. Jarvis Landry said surgery on his injured hip would be a, quote, last resort, unquote. Eli Manning confirmed he is considering retirement and said it would be unlikely for him to return in 2020 as a backup. I'm assuming that he just is going to retire as a Giant.
Yeah.
AJ Green, looming free agent AJ Green, said he's hopeful of reaching a long-term extension with Cincinnati. And then T.Y. Hilton said he has been playing through a 2-centimeter calf tear late in the season, which is interesting.
Why didn't they just shut him down?
I don't know. Because they had playoff hopes.
Yeah.
Austin Hooper is also an pending free agent, and he said that he was open to re-signing with the Falcons, but he hasn't received an offer. So we have a top-tier tight end on the market.
If he doesn't sign with Falcons, I think the Patriots should compel him.
The Buccaneers coach Bruce Arians said signing Chris Godwin to an extension will be a high priority on the team's list of offseason tasks. He also said, I believe you sent this to me earlier today. Yeah. He also said that...
Do you want me to get the quote?
Yeah, grab the quote for me, because this was really bad. This does not instill confidence in your quarterback.
When Bruce Arians was asked if the Buccaneers could win with another quarterback, he responded with another quarterback? ? Oh, yeah. If we can win with this one, we can definitely win with another one, too.
I want to hear the clip to see how he actually said it, because everything...
That's how it's written, though. It's like, with another quarterback, ? Oh, yeah, period. If we can win with this one, we can definitely win with another one, 2, period.
Wow.
That's
bad.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, Jameis Winston might be moving, too. Broncos GM John Elway said, "You know what? I'm going to back this up a little bit to this Jameis Winston thing. I don't want to spend too much time on this because we don't have a lot of time. But I think it's funny that there have been rumors floating around that Tom Brady might leave New England if he continues to play, and that's why he wouldn't get his contract.
Don't tell me Tampa.
I don't believe. No, I don't think he's going to Tampa. Well, my point is that I find it highly unfortunate that Tom Brady, if he was planning to test free agency this year, how many teams? Yes, I think people would want to line up for the GOAT, but wouldn't you want somebody younger?
Yeah, unless you think your team is
and there's
ready to win right now.
You have
you're just
there's
missing
not a lot of people that
Tampa probably feels that way.
Yeah,
they're ready to win right now.
Winston's going to be a free agent. Dak's going to be a free agent.
Cam Newton's available.
Like, who's going to go get Tom Brady when those guys are available and they're going to be with your organization for significantly longer? Yeah,
just the name. It's like the Peyton Manning thing when he was.
Yeah, that's true.
But Manning had more left in the tank. He had like 2 good years and he played 3.
Yeah, that's true.
But he still had 2 decent years left in there. How many do you think Brady has even one like great year left in the tank? I don't think he does.
Not a great year. He's a game manager. He's not leaving New England. I just think it's funny that I don't know. Anyway, so Broncos GM said that they will look to find a way to get Philip Lindsay a new deal. He also said that Drew Lock will be the starting quarterback, so that just walks all over your head coach. Love John Elway. He's such a terrible general manager.
Why? What did the head coach say?
Nothing. If your GM walks out and says, "Oh, I know who the starting quarterback's going to be in 2020," like, okay, that's your your head coach's job to make that decision, not yours, John Elway. But anyway,
but it's their first round pick. Like, it's not.
Bucks coach
it's like
Bruce
saying
Arians,
Sam Darnold won't be our starting quarterback next year.
He said he expects to reach a decision on Jameis Winston's future in a couple of weeks. So we'll find out what he really means by that statement. I don't know. Raiders coach John Gruden said that Darren Waller underwent thumb surgery. And then the firings that you were interested in.
Oh, okay.
Pat Shurmur.
Pat Shurmur got fired.
He got fired from the Giants. So
was this his first year? It wasn't his first year, right?
No, he's been there for like 2 or 3 years. He was fired. Some lead candidates are obviously Ron Rivera. And they also have asked to interview with I think one college football coach, I'm not really sure, and Josh McDaniels, who's a hot commodity right now. Again, here we go again with this crap.
Why doesn't he just leave or just say don't interview me?
I'm kind of in this hesitant state as a New England Patriots fan. I don't want him, but I do want him. So I don't know anymore. I don't think it really matters at this point.
I want him, but if I was him, I wouldn't.
Yeah,
I would have left like 2 years ago.
Yeah, I know. So Pat Shurmur was fired, and then Bruce Allen, the GM for the Washington Redskins, was fired.
Yep.
So the list of fired head coaches right now is Pat Shurmur and Freddie Kitchens. And we'll obviously find out more over the next couple weeks. I'm not sure why Jason Garrett still has a job. He should have been fired 5 weeks ago. No.
He should have been fired, when they were.
And now he's making it past Black Monday. It's like Jason Garrett. I mean, it's like, what the hell's the owner's name? I don't even want to know.
Jerry Jones.
Jerry Jones wants to hold on.
I told you he doesn't. He really, if he fires Jason Garrett, it'll be smart. But it's going to take every fiber of his being to fire him.
He needs to
disconnect. He's only going to fire Jason Garrett because people will be in his ear like, you got to get rid of this guy. Yeah. Why is he still a coach? Right. Otherwise, he's not going anywhere.
He's going to go out and get another puppet is what I'll do.
Yeah, well, that's the thing too. If he does fire Jason Garrett, he's going to sign some nobody that's just going to say yes sir, no sir.
Anyway, so that's what we have for the news so far. We'll keep you updated as the week goes along. We don't have a lot of time, so let's do our quick reactions for this week really quickly. My first Week 17 reaction is that Week 17 championship's a blow.
Yeah.
I spent the entire Sunday watching the news come out that certain players weren't playing. The Rams said they weren't playing any of their starters, and then Todd Gurley got 20 carries. Not that you could have put him in the game because he had 68 yards, so that would have been a bad game anyway, but just watching the random guys go off. You had Boston Scott with 31 fantasy points for the Philadelphia Eagles after what's-his-name went down in the first quarter, I believe. He is the third, fourth-string running back for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. So I put this in here because I was relatively pissed when I saw it. I spent all season stacking Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott, hoping for that one touchdown pass to Ezekiel Elliott that I would get. And it happens in Week 17, and I watched it happen. And I was like, you suck. I was so mad. I didn't get that all year, and I wanted it badly. Derrick Henry had 39 fantasy points, led the entire league in fantasy points. So if you had Derrick Henry, you probably won your fantasy championship.
Yeah.
Safe to say. And then Winston is the first quarterback to ever join the 30 touchdown, 30 interception club. 5,000 yards.
That is disgusting.
5,000 yards, 30 touchdowns. And
That is
30
so
interceptions.
gross. My gosh.
Imagine how good he would have been if he threw 15 interceptions. He's so ridiculous.
It's so bad.
Why did you throw that many interceptions? Ugh. Anyway, do you have any quick reactions? Because I wanted to get through those quickly. There's nothing really to talk about besides the fact that
the biggest reactions for me
Raiders
for
and Cowboys didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was just to see all the guys that
The random players that just went off.
Yeah, the random players that went off, and then you'll get the alert on your phone saying Sleeper was sending me alerts to my phone Melvin Gordon scored a touchdown, Devontae Adams scored a touchdown.
You're
and I'm like,
frick me.
Yeah. Who's it? Hunter Henry scored a touchdown, and I was like, thanks.
Too little, too late.
Yeah. I think somebody else got one too.
Yeah.
Nick Chubb or somebody, and I was like,
Joe Mixon had a day. Yeah, it's just a weird.
You know who went off too? Again, so much for our hope for this man falling in the draft next year, Saquon Barkley.
Oh yeah, he's a monster. He right now, I saw some early rankings from the fantasy footballers and from some people from NFL Network, and they're already ranking the top 10 running backs or top 10 players, and they have Saquon too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
who's number one?
Christian McCaffrey.
Oh, right. Okay.
So I'm kind of surprised by that. On some of them, Dalvin Cook was 5 or 6. So
interesting.
I actually don't disagree with that.
Dalvin Cook kind of did puke himself.
Fall down.
Yeah, after week 14, right when the playoffs start. So
yeah, it's not good. We'll analyze that as the entire offseason goes along. But let's get into our main segment of the program.
Okay.
We're going to talk about our rights and our wrongs,
right.
The things we got right, the things we got wrong from our bold predictions episode, from many other episodes that we had, our breakouts and bust 2-part breakouts and bust episodes, and other things that we talked about over the course of the off season. And we're gonna give you what we got right and give you what we got wrong. I'm gonna play a clip. So you're going to hear us talking. It's going to be really weird and random. But I'm going to play a clip, and then we're going to talk about that particular player/take, why we thought it, and what actually happened.
Okay.
So let's start out with clip number 1. I think Kenny Golladay has the ability to ascend into a wide receiver 1. So
okay.
We both talked about this on a show for 20 minutes. We have a video on our YouTube channel, and it is called "Can Kenny Golladay Be a Wide Receiver 1?" Go watch it so you can hear the entire reasoning behind why we explained Kenny Golladay was going to be a wide receiver 1.
Number 6 wide receiver.
He finished as the number 6 wide receiver. He was highly inconsistent.
Yeah,
it was kind of gross. Now, our thought process when I listened back to the entire video, our thought process was that there's no one else there, besides Kenny Golladay.
But Marvin Jones.
I mean, not Kenny Golladay, besides Marvin Jones.
Okay, all
right. Running back Kerryon Johnson.
And I believe I said in that show that I thought Matt Stafford was going to have a bounce back year.
Yes, you did.
And he did up until he got injured. But first half of the season, the Lions' offense was just fantastic.
Right. The thing that was slightly scary about this guy, if you look at the full PPR game logs on playerprofiler.com, he had some games that were just early half of the season. First game of the season, he was the number 33 wide receiver. And then second game of the season, he was the number 6 wide receiver. And then number 88, number 8, number 14, number 84, number 3, number 9, number 19, number 70, number 34, number 4, number 15, number 54, number 12. So realistically, he finished in the top 6, but he only had one top 3 finish and maybe 3 top 6 finishes in the entire season. Very inconsistent. We were right about the wide receiver 1.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be a little more consistent than it was. There were games where you started him, you were like, wow, this guy's great. And then there are weeks where you were like, why did I start Kenny Golladay? Why didn't I start Marvin Jones? We had a team in our league that had both of them on the same team at the same time.
You think if Matt Stafford played the full season that he could have been a top 5 wide receiver?
I actually think yes, but I think that the presence of Marvin Jones there really hurts him.
Yeah.
And I don't want to make any early,
Well, especially if TJ Hawkinson comes back too.
But that is one of the most...
It comes back like a bounce back type season, a year
Right.
2 breakout for a tight end,
Right.
which is common. But Matt Stafford, dude, in 9 games,
Yeah.
he had 30, 17, 13, 26, 11, 32, 26, 27 fantasy points. And he was the number 5 ranked quarterback, I think. He had 19 touchdowns and 5 interceptions.
Yeah,
in 9 games or 8 games. So if he
gross.
did another 8 games, you would think.
I just hate. Yeah,
30
I mean,
touchdowns
and I'm curious to see
yards.
what week did he get hurt?
Week 9.
Week 9. Okay, so I'm gonna say from week 10 to 17, we have Kenny Golladay as the number 15 wide receiver without Matt Stafford.
What was he
That's
through
from
week
weeks-
1 to 9?
Let's take a look. Kind of scares me to find out though. He was the number 10 wide receiver.
Okay.
So
he finished number 6
I don't know
because people get injured and
yeah. So it is one of the he played all 16 games, averaged 13.5 fantasy points per game. He had some monster weeks, and he probably won you some weeks, but he looks right now as and we'll go over this in our series that we always do where we give you the reality of certain players. But it looks like on paper he had a fantastic season as the number 6 wide receiver in fantasy and half PPR. But in the end, it doesn't really kind of compute out to like an actually. I don't want to say it wasn't a really great season because 215 fantasy points is a good season.
yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. I guess did we get that right? It doesn't feel like we got it right.
Yeah, we got it right.
Yeah, we got it right. So Kenny Golladay is a wide receiver 1. We won't just give you because I think a lot of fantasy experts just want to show their
How they were right about stuff.
yeah, they were right about stuff. So the first couple will say we're right about, some of them will say we're wrong about, and there's one that it was a full-on disagreement. I don't have the argument in a full clip because that would be just extremely ridiculous. But let's play the second clip. This one is about Devin Singletary.
But there's also a very good chance
Yeah.
that Frank Gore gets cut or doesn't really play.
Right.
T.J. Yeldon gets cut or doesn't really play.
Right.
LaShawn McCoy loses the job or gets traded or whatever, and Singletary becomes the guy. And he could be, honestly, if they give him the opportunity, he could be like a workhorse back in that offense.
So
okay.
there we go. So we predicted that, or we reported, not reported, but we told you that there was a possibility that LaShawn McCoy would be cut.
Yeah.
This prediction was
Based off that.
So we didn't make any full out predictions as to where Devin Singletary was going to finish, but we thought that Devin Singletary was going to win that starting job at some point.
Yep.
There was also portions of that where you said Frank Gore is basically the running back killer.
Which he is.
Yeah, the young running back killer, because he comes in and he unrealistic. I don't understand why people keep giving him the ball, but he gets 3 yards of carry, and he's Frank Gore, so he just keeps getting the ball.
I mean, he's
Fed,
good in short
You know what's
usage.
going to happen in 20 years? We're going to be saying the same thing about David Montgomery.
Yeah, probably.
It's so ridiculous. But anyway, but Devin Singletary, it was clear early in the season when he touched the ball.
Explosive.
He was explosive. And it took me like 2 weeks to realize that. I was like, why do they not give... He had like, I think it was 3 touches in one game for 100 yards and a touchdown. And I'm like, why do you not give that the ball more?
Yeah.
And it happened in like 3 straight games. And I'm like, dude, you guys need to start giving... And they just kept on giving it to Frank Gore. And it took him until like, geez, I don't know, maybe week 10 to finally give the full workload, maybe week 8 to 10 to give the full workload to Singletary, but they ended up doing it. We thought he was good enough to win the job.
And he was.
He won it. Do you have any feelings on Devin Singletary in 2020?
I was just going to say, it's
Because I don't
way
think Frank
too
Gore is
early.
going to be in...
No, I don't think he will.
He might retire.
If it's just Singletary in that backfield, I think he could be a low-end RB1.
Yeah, I don't disagree. It depends on we've seen this happen 1,000,005 times in
Yes.
the AFC East, where a team rises up, whether it's the Jets, never the Dolphins, but it's usually the Jets.
Well, the
Actually,
Dolphins,
you know what?
the Dolphins made the playoffs with
Yeah,
Ryan
you're
Tannehill.
right. You're right.
and
I'm
went
sorry. It's
9-7.
never the Bills. So usually what happens is one team breaks out in
Or
the
the Bills
AFC
made it
East.
once, but it was like Tyrod Taylor, and it was like
Right. But they break out, and then they, you know what I mean? They make a run at the AFC East, and then they don't win the AFC East because
Do you think it's a little different now though? Because
It might be, but
not only is it the Patriots getting old, but like these teams that are in the uprise right now, they drafted young players, and it's those young players that are doing good.
Right.
Like when the Bills made the playoffs a few years ago, and everyone was talking about the Bills.
Right.
The defense was still good back then, but it was like Tyrod Taylor was their quarterback. They didn't really know what they did on offense. Now they drafted somebody in the top 10, Josh Allen, who they think is the franchise guy for the next 15 plus years.
right.
And even the Jets, who went 7-9, I think they at least have the quarterback in
Right.
Sam Darnold, who they are going to have
I
for the
love
next
Josh
15
Allen.
plus years.
But he's a slightly better version of Jameis Winston.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all.
Like, he makes some horrible
But that's not
decisions
necessarily
sometimes.
bad. Like that's
Yeah. I mean, they'll figure it out. But I just feel like the Bills are just going to be one of those teams that goes, like, you know, what is it? What did they have? Like a 11-5 record or
they
something
went
like that?
11-5. Yeah,
So, like, they went 11-5, and then next year they're just going to go, like, 6-10. Because
that could happen.
That's what happens.
Because I don't think their offense is good enough.
It'll be the
but-
Jets next year, the
Yeah.
Dolphins, or something like that. But anyway, Singletary did win the starting job. Let's move on to clip number 3, where we discussed Philip Lindsay.
I don't see him, like, do you see him being a top 10 running back at all this year?
No, he's not going to break out.
Right.
I low end.
Do you see him
His
top-
ceiling this year is low end RB2.
I was just going to say, like, 15
Yeah.
to 20, I think, would be a good season for Philip Lindsay.
So we predicted that Philip Lindsay was going to be a top 20
running back.
running back. Now, I went a little bit further south because I thought he was going to be a bust, so I said 20 to 25. You said his best outcome was probably 15 to 20.
Was like 15, yeah.
as shown in that clip. So we were kind of on different ends of the spectrum when it came to Philip Lindsay.
Yeah,
Because I did not think he was going to get over 250 touches, which is what he did. He got like 260 something touches.
Ooh.
And he had around 30 receptions, which is where I thought he would end up, and he had a decent season. But man, at times he was bad.
Yeah. Well, he was just inconsistent.
He had like weeks where you were like, "Wow, I'm so glad I started."
But
him."
he's exactly what
Yeah.
like we thought he'd be, which isn't
Right.
awful. Like if you drafted him late, it's fine as like a week to week flex. But people
Yeah.
just were treating him going into the season as this guy, especially
Yeah.
early in the year. Later in the year, he kind of faded. But like in June and July,
Yeah.
people were talking about Philip Lindsay as a
third
top
round pick.
Yeah, third round
That's
pick.
so
and
gross.
It just
I think you know, and that's the one thing about fantasy football that you kind of have to pay attention to when you're going into a new season is you can't just, you know, I mean you can, some people get lucky, but you can't just roll up to your draft with last year's, you know, finishing
mindset,
spots.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And go, okay, well, Philip Lindsay finished as a top 14 back, so that obviously means he's going to have a breakout. Like, no, okay, you need to look at why that's going to happen, but you have to look at the fact
Do you
that there's
think,
a new coaching staff and the fact that
Royce Freeman.
they
is-
really want Royce Freeman to be something,
Do
and they
they,
keep forcing him the ball.
Yeah, but I mean, Philip Lindsay was still got the majority of the work.
No, he did. It was right down the middle for like a good
For the first half of the season.
yeah,
honestly.
first half of the season.
But yeah, where would you draft Lindsay next year if nothing changes? Like same spot. He does have 2 straight 1,000-yard seasons.
He does. To me, it depends on how.
He's one of those
They
guys
need
that you
to-
got to look at in the offseason to see what the team does.
Yeah.
Like what if is the
Right.
coaching staff going to stay the same? Is
coaching staff? Will
what
stay
are
the
they
same.
going to do with Royce Freeman? Is he still going to be on the team? Or are they just going to keep?
They probably will still have Royce Freeman.
So is
and it'll probably be right down the middle.
it's so
again.
gross.
I'm thinking that he'll probably be right around 18 to 22 next year. I mean, I don't want to pick the same spot as last year, but I think literally what you saw from him this year is what he is. Like, you got Philip Lindsay. If he has a better season next year, like they say, okay, we're going to stop giving it, like,
To Royce Freeman, maybe.
Giving
What
it
if
to
Royce
Royce-
Freeman gets traded? Though, or
Royce
something?
Freeman, though, over the first 8 to 10 weeks of the season, had a majority of the red zone work. So that was the problem for Lindsay in the better part of the season was that he couldn't get the ball in the red zone, and the fact that they absolutely sucked offensively, so they didn't score a lot of points.
Which, again, could be better next year, Drew Lock under center.
Yeah.
But
Dude,
even Royce Freeman, though.
he wasn't good.
He was awful. You know what he got last
Poor
game of the
guy.
season against Oakland?
Yeah.
They only gave him 2 carries,
Yeah.
and he got -4 yards.
So he definitely was phased out.
Yeah.
I thought Philip Lindsay was going to be a bust. I'm not sure what you would call a bust.
I don't think that's a bust, but I do think we got pretty much exactly what we expected.
I want to actually, we don't have a lot of time left, but I do actually want to go over, I want to look at his draft position, and I wonder if I can get the ADP on Fantasy Pros. Am I lucky enough? Because if you can find out where he was drafted last year.
It was like 4th round, I think.
Is it 4th round?
It was like late 4th, I think. What's by the end of it? Late 4th, early 5th.
I'm not going to be able to find it. But if he was taken as like the 14th, 15th running back off the board, then I would consider that a bust. But if he was taken as the 20th running back, I think the difference for me is the fact that when you look at startable games for Philip Lindsay, there weren't a lot of them. And when you thought they were startable games, they lost you weeks. Like you had Philip Lindsay for a majority.
He had like seven of the 16, I think, were startable.
Yeah, but when you had him on your team, you just never knew when to play him.
Yeah,
and then when you did throw him out there on a good matchup, we talked about this at the end of the season.
Two of his
completely lost.
But he had
games.
4 fantastic matchups to end the season, and he did bad in 2 of them. But the other 2, he got 12 and 18.
Yeah.
So
I don't think he's a bad player, but I think he's just going to be constantly that low end RB2.
yeah, no, I agree.
And I like, you have to understand what you're getting. You're not going to get a big. And I will continue to have this take next year too. You're not going to get a big breakout running back.
All right, play the clip.
Clip number 4.
Play the clip.
This one's about Corey Davis.
We're getting to the wrongs now.
Yeah.
Corey Davis.
Oh no. I will disagree with this one.
We'll finish as a top 12 fantasy wide receivers.
Can you?
Yes, I can explain. First of all,
I have
if
something
you
to say
listen
after
to
this.
my
We'll make this one
reasoning
fast.
behind the take,
No.
it makes sense.
No, it does.
My reasoning was
I drafted him. I believed in.
I thought Ryan Tannehill would eventually take over. They'd throw the ball more, and he was a better passing quarterback than Marcus Mariota.
What you didn't account for was
A.J. Brown.
yes.
I figured when that happened, somebody in that offense would be
Right.
good.
So you're saying you were partially
because A.J.
right.
Brown finished 15.
Are you
right?
taking a victory lap on your
No,
loss?
I'm not. I'm just defending my my extremely bad take. Plus, this was a bold prediction.
No, you're right, because Corey Davis was.
They just decided
he
not
was
to
supposed
get
to be
Corey
the
Davis
wide
involved.
receiver 1 on the team.
Right. Which
And then
is kind
A.J.
of
Brown
what I
took
was,
over.
Yeah.
So your point was partially right, but you just had the wrong name
Wrong
attached
guy,
to
yeah.
it. Yeah. So, yeah, because he was very adamant. Rick
I'm a
loves
Corey Davis.
Well, Rick loves
Truther.
Corey Davis.
What can
I
I
thought
say?
it was funny. We retweeted something on our Twitter page earlier this week, and it was one of our. I don't even know what you want to call him, but anyway, he follows our page. I follow his page.
Oh, friends.
We're friends. Yeah, I guess we're friends. So anyway, he tweeted. He's also a Corey Davis truther, and he said, in your dynasty leagues, you should go out and buy him. Right now, he's really cheap. You could probably get him for a
Probably
super
useless.
cheap. Yeah, I mean, I would rather, if you have, a 6th round pick in your dynasty league, you just trade that for Corey Davis. It's probably better than anything you're going to get in the 6th round.
Probably,
You know what
yeah.
I mean? So anyway, so he basically said you should go out and buy Corey Davis, and I was like, how many seasons are we going to do this?
No, I know it is true. I think the hope for the Corey Davis truthers is him getting out of Tennessee.
Yeah,
That's
but
my-
even if he gets out of Tennessee, how old is he now? Is this going to be like Al
No,
Robinson?
he's 24.
Every wide receiver in the NFL is 25 years old. It's
I know.
freaking ridiculous.
Because it seems like he's really old, but that's because when I was fell in love with him was his rookie season. So
Right.
It's only his 3rd year.
So right now, Corey Davis is the wide receiver 64. He had 93 fantasy points in 15 games. So
Where is A.J. Brown though?
A.J. Brown is.
I think he's 15.
He is number 15.
Yeah.
And if Ryan Tannehill plays, it did the whole. We'll talk about that.
The whole season he would have been
In the
top
offseason,
10
but-
probably. Yeah.
If Ryan Tannehill plays the way he did this year, next year, which I don't know how much of that is actually going to happen. But A.J. Brown could be a wide receiver 1 next year. He is extremely talented.
Oh, yeah, big time.
But anyway, yeah, Corey Davis, you just got the wrong guy. Here's my burger of the year.
All right.
This one was so gross. Derrick Henry will be a massive bust this year.
Oh, no.
It was really short. You want me to play it again? Derrick Henry will be a massive bust this year.
You know, it's funny. You drafted Zeke, 2nd overall.
Yep.
You know who finished ahead of Zeke?
Who?
Derrick Henry.
I might hurt myself. I still have Zeke more than Derrick Henry.
Zeke actually finished ahead of Dalvin Cook, though, too, but Cook only missed the last game. But yeah, Derrick Henry.
So
Derrick
should I
Henry.
defend myself or should I just...
You can do whatever you want.
So Derrick Henry, it's such a bad take. My reasoning behind it was that he had 2 really good games last year.
Yes.
He had 2, and then you take the 2 good games out, and you just space out. He was very bad.
Yeah.
This year, it didn't really matter that he wasn't getting the ball through the air. It didn't matter at all.
No.
They were just handing it to him on the ground, and I think part of the success for Derrick Henry was the fact that Ryan Tannehill came in and started playing as well. You know
what's funny too? They're one of the only teams in the league, Tennessee now, that like really it plays old school football where they just have one guy and just give him the ball.
Yep.
It just happens to be the guy you said was a bust.
Yeah.
But
no,
you know how many carries he had last week or this week? I guess last week. 32.
Wow.
32 carries for 211 yards.
See, now I just never thought
no catches.
No catches. So I thought he was going to reach a point where it would be like maybe 18, 19 to 20 touches a game and they're all going to be carries.
Yep.
And if you get that many touches a game, you can turn that into like, obviously 100 yards, maybe a touchdown, and that's a good fantasy week. I didn't think that in a half PPR and a full PPR setting that Derrick Henry could be a big-time running back because he's not going to get do you know how, if you take all of Ezekiel Elliott's pass catching away, he is so far from what Derrick Henry was this year in fantasy football. It's unbelievable. So most of the top 5, top 10 running backs are where they are because of the pass catching.
Yeah.
And so Derrick Henry just straight got 30 carries a game. And that's not something that you anticipate.
It's funny because he only had 18 receptions.
Should I ride the Derrick Henry bust next? I actually think he's going to get overdrafted next year. I don't want to say.
I think he will too because he finished at number 3, so he might be like a top 5 pick. Which, if that happens, I don't think he should be.
Yeah,
but I think he's going to be a top 10 running back.
I don't know how I didn't.
Just by how much they use him.
When did Tannehill get the starting job?
I think it was I don't know. I want to say it was halfway through the season.
It was I'm just gonna do weeks 1 through 8 and see where Derrick Henry was when they were using Marcus Mariota for the first half of the season. He was number 10.
So not bad.
In the second half of the season, all the way to week 17, week 9 or week 8 to 17, Derrick Henry was the number 2 running back in fantasy. So, yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he was. If you say 9 through 17, number 2 running back in fantasy. So clearly. Ryan Tannehill makes a difference in that offense for A.J. Brown, for Derrick Henry, for everyone. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's clear, but I completely whiffed on that take. All right, let's do our last take. We are at normal time right now, and it's driving me crazy, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Our next episode will be 25 minutes long. This last take was a shot in the dark for me, a very large shot in the dark.
Yeah.
And I got it right.
You did it.
So, check this one out. Patrick Mahomes will not finish as a top 5 quarterback in 2019.
I'm off the set.
So, you argue with me for a good 35 minutes on this one.
And I would do it again.
He would do it again. I know you would. So, I think a lot of people's first initial reaction to this take is going to be he didn't play in 2 games or 3.
Right, which is
so I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna say this. Okay, so you give him
2.5.
His average 2.5. You give him so I'll give him. He averages 20 points a game, so I'll give him 50. Is that safe?
Yes,
50.
Yeah, that's 50.
Fine.
Yep.
So I'll give him 50 fantasy points to add to the 291 that he already has. That would get him
Is
up
he 4
to
or 3.
No.
He would
Well, hold on a
surpass
second.
Winston and Watson.
I don't think he'd finish past Watson, would he?
Yeah, he's only 30. Well, I'm looking at. So the problem is, I'm looking at my league or our
Oh, yeah,
league,
hold on.
which does the extra touchdown because he's only 30 points behind Watson in our league.
Point for an extra touchdown. So 341 would be where he is. So he would be the number 3 quarterback in fantasy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, something like that. Now, what I like to do is when a guy misses games, I like to rank them by averages. You can go to fantasypros.com and do that. So Patrick Mahomes right now, if you go by averages, Lamar Jackson was number 20, was number 1.
Matt Stafford's probably high on that list.
Yeah,
isn't
Matt Stafford was number 4 with 21 a game.
Love it.
So let's just take him off the list because I don't want to do that. Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, Dak Prescott, Jameis Winston, and then Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, really? Really?
Yes. So Patrick Mahomes technically does finish in the top 5 if you prorate his season out to a full season. So if you want to say that,
but
I
still,
was
the fact
wrong,
that you.
my take had everything factored in, which was injuries, which was regression in the touchdown category, and if we want to look at, how many touchdowns he threw, I think we had a discussion on this podcast back and forth about whether it was possible for Mahomes not to reach 30 touchdowns again, and he had 26 this year. He used 26 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Wow. You give him the other 2 games, and he averaged right around 2 a game.
So he'd probably just barely hit 30.
So repeating as a top 5, repeating as the number 1 quarterback in fantasy is extremely difficult.
You gonna keep that same energy for Lamar?
I don't know. I don't think Lamar's gonna finish number 1 next year.
See, I think he will, but the problem is, no. If he plays the whole year, he will. I think he will. But
right. Now, you couldn't have fully predicted that Patrick Mahomes would miss as much time as he did. He was still playing like a top 5 quarterback. But this goes back to my original. This is why I went.
Shouldn't have drafted him in the 3rd round. Yeah.
You shouldn't have drafted him
or
in the
his
3rd
second round.
Or the 2nd round. And so it's like, this is why you have to look ahead instead of look backwards. So predicting fantasy.
Write that down.
Amen. Predicting fantasy football, you have to predict what happens before. Lamar Jackson, we talked about him all offseason. I salted on him at the end, and I don't know why. But we talked about him all offseason, said he was a potential breakout candidate. 14th, 13th, 14th, maybe even the 12th round, like wherever he was going, in the 10th to 15th round, you could have taken him and been okay. You have to have the foresight to go, okay, I'm going to draft Lamar Jackson or, somebody, who else was it? Dak Prescott was a top 5 quarterback this year.
I'm looking at my notes from before the season.
Yeah.
You know who my top 2 QB sleepers were?
Who?
In May. This is in May.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson, number 1.
And Josh Allen.
Josh Allen, number 2.
Yep. Those were our sleepers too.
Yet I still drafted Josh Allen over Lamar.
You idiot. But Lamar won leagues. So it's like, instead of going, I'm going to draft Patrick Mahomes. Now, very, very reasonable next year to have the thought of saying, Patrick Mahomes is a 5th, 6th round pick. Maybe you should take him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he's coming off that. History is out of the question now.
It's not even
like...
like...
He could have a top 5 season next year, and you'll get away with it. But...
Because, he had you're right. You got it right. The touchdown regression, all that. He still, threw for, 4,000 plus yards, 26 touchdowns,
he's
5
fantastic.
interceptions.
He's Patrick Mahomes.
Which means, if he...
But he's normal now.
Yes.
That's the reality that people
Can he throw 40 next year, though? Is it possible?
Of course it's possible.
So...
Chances? Probably
draft him in the 6th round.
30% chance.
Yeah, probably 30, I would say.
But it's just very hard to have those seasons. Like, Lamar will never throw 50 touchdowns. Sorry, Lamar fanboys. But he will never...
You think he could get 50 total?
Yes.
He'd have to run for 20, though.
Do you know how many times
how many passing touchdowns does he have this year?
I have
it's 30 plus.
Hold on, I'll look it up. Yeah, it's ridiculous because his defense got him in position to score so often that it was easy.
Yeah, but he also gave himself position by running it too.
His touchdown rate.
The dude gets 100 yards rushing.
He had 36 touchdowns.
Wow. So did he get 50 total then this year?
Man, he is a modern day Cam Newton. I'll tell you right now.
Oh no, he didn't.
3,127 passing yards and 36 touchdowns.
That's nuts.
And he had 1,000 rushing yards.
And he had
lordy, and he didn't
play
43, one game.
He had 43 total.
He had 1,213 rushing yards and 7 touchdowns, and he didn't play one game.
Yeah, that's nuts. That's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
It's going to be so hard for me to pick a breakout guy next year because I'm going to be so tempted to take the the guy with the rushing.
Oh yeah, you're
And
gonna
I don't
take
even- we gotta
Gardner
honestly
Minshew.
Figure it out.
What?
Gardner Minshew. What did you say that aloud? But Patrick Mahomes, yeah, I that was a
called it.
shot in the dark for me, and I thought I was like when I was preparing for the show, I was like, yeah, this is a little bit of a crazy take. He'll probably finish in the top 5, but hey, it's a bold prediction show,
Yes.
and it ended up working out.
You know who else I said on that bold prediction show?
Who?
My busts were good. My breakouts were not. But
It's like my busts
I'd
were
said
good, my breakouts were not.
there's a quote from that show. You guys can look back at it if you want. And I said Brandon Cooks in my bold prediction would
Yep.
not finish as a
Yep.
top 30 wide receiver in fantasy.
Yeah, I'm mad that we didn't put that in there because you said top 30, and I was like, oh, hold on.
Yeah, that's like a little.
I
much.
tried to bring you back in, but he did not finish in the top 30, and I don't care if he was hurt. He
He
this
wasn't-
is Brandon Cooks, people.
He wasn't even when he was like playing, he wasn't good.
Yeah.
But my reasoning behind it was Cooper Kupp, I thought was going to be the guy, and even Robert Woods, who I thought was going to be number 2. They both had very good seasons, even though Robert Woods, it just took him a while to get going.
Right.
But he still finished number 18. Cooper Kupp finished number 4. And I figured those two guys were going to get a little more work this year.
Right.
Because Jared Goff's personal favorite targets, those guys get more targets when Jared Goff is out there.
Right.
And I also did take into fact that Cooks does get injured every single year, which it happens, and it happened this year, and you knew they were going to have a regression in the offense. Brandon Cooks finished number 64 wide receiver in fantasy.
Yeah. So he wasn't even close, and he did finish outside the top 30. So you nailed that one. I said that on our bold prediction show. I also said that Kenyon Drake would be an RB1.
Yep.
And he was trash early in the season.
But he ended up.
And when he went
Did he
to,
finish?
he finished as the number 18 running back.
Wow.
And over from the trade deadline
number
on,
16, I think.
he was
He was
number.
dude. I think he's number 16. He
Is he
surpassed Le'Veon Bell at the end, and
oh,
Josh
I'm in
Jacobs.
standard. I'm sorry. I'm an idiot.
Wow.
So, and since he got traded, now it was gross. He was an RB1.
Where was
and he was number 7.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Oh yeah, because he didn't have the. He had a few like average games, but yeah.
we have to see if the Arizona Cardinals keep
I hope they
David
do, man.
Johnson. But anyway,
Oh, sorry, not David Johnson. Kenny Drake.
yeah. That'll do it for our rights and wrongs segment. Hopefully, we'll do this every year to hold ourselves accountable in fantasy football. And there was a lot of things that we said that were just dead wrong, and there were things that we said that were right. Somebody retweeted. Thank you for holding us accountable, whatever your name is, on Twitter. Let me pull it up. His name is Nick Massman. You're getting a shout out, so hopefully you actually listen to our show. I retweeted, I think it was me that retweeted back in March 20th. The NFL posted something that said, name a better QB/running back duo. Talking about Lamar Jackson and Mark Ingram. This was back in March. So we retweeted it and said, name a better quarterback, quote, name a better quarterback/running back duo, unquote. And then it said, ... I can name 31.
Oh gosh.
So he happily retweeted it and said, wrong. And I said, thank you. It is what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We get things wrong too. So
Yes, it happens.
It happens.
That's
It is
fantasy
what it is.
football for you. You know, if we got everything perfect, we'd be millionaires.
Yeah, we'd be millionaires. We'd have the secret to fantasy football.
and we would not be sharing it either because we just keep doing
we
it.
keep dominating. Go in those high
I would live in like the mountains.
stakes leagues.
And yeah,
You mean you were just in the mountains and high stake leagues and winning
It
millions?
seems that everybody is benching Tyler Higbee this week.
Wrong.
We're just human machines.
We don't have the sports almanac.
No,
we don't have
that.
alien brains from Area 51.
But what we do have is knowledge that can hopefully help your fantasy team
in fantasy football. So, congratulations if you won your fantasy championship in 2019. This is our last episode in 2019.
Yes.
And we are going to jump into 2020 on Thursday and start breaking down the 2019 season for the next month.
Yep.
And talk about different things. Don't forget to check out our website at thefantasychampions.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and talk to you Thursday, Fantasy Champs.
Peace out.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube, and follow us on Twitter at @TheFFChamps.